What is going on, fams? My bad. Turns out I had lightning hit over here in my house and it just scrambled the internet for some reason. And I wasn't able to get on immediately, man. So my apologies um, as to that happening. It's just completely out of my hands at this point. We got Inserata. Good evening, everybody. We got The Life of Miklo. Good evening, Bully fam, QBN fam. All right. We got Perfect Storm Bullies. We have The Life of Miklo. Happy 5950 day. 5950 day. What do you mean by that? We got Big Beach Bullies. Que vola. What is going on, man? ¿Cómo están? Everything good, bro. Adam Fields. Good evening, Bully fam. He says, hope all is well. Yeah, it was, man. It's just, it happens, man. We had a little lightning storm. I had my backup generator, everything working just fine, but we couldn't get back on the internet. Don't know what happened at that point. Zulema Santiago. We got Infamous, half a die, Bully fam. What's up, Infamous? We got Not So Holy Easy on the Hood. Hey, all right. Freddy Strivia. What's up, Bully fam? Adam Fields. Fresh Fade. Yeah, man. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna give you a little backstory on this fade. When I was in the military, right? Hold on a second, guys. Just give me a second, because there you go. All right. So when I was in the military, right? The way it would work out is you would go on post, and they had barbershops. Now, barbershops back in the days, I'm talking about, Jesus, I'm dating myself here. 30 years ago. 30 years ago, they were charging $20 to $25 a cut, which was a lot of money considering at the time I was making $777, right? I'll never forget that number. So, long story short, on base, the soldiers started teaching their wives, to give them the cut. And so my wife, she's been cutting my hair, man. She's been cutting my hair. What can I say? Rob Finn, happy Friday. You got it, man. Hello, Bully Facts. You got it. Brayman Bulls, personal program changes or about premium peds? No, personal program changes. We got quite a few things we're going to be changing going forward. I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. We're also going to be talking dogs, all right? Robert Bodfish. Hello, homies from the top of Alaska. Woo, all the way from the Arctic, nearly. Not So Holy says, love catching you live, man. Number love, appreciate you. Bully fam, what's up, Reyes Kennels? Yeah, we over here cracking up. Yeah, man. So listen, a couple years back, we used to have in the program, we used to have segments. We had different people come in and do segments. I've decided that maybe we need to get back to that, just because it gives you a different perspective. You guys know I've been breeding for about 10 years. One of the reasons I made a recent change in the programming was because I was told by quite a few of y'all that sometimes I get so wrapped up in what I'm talking about that I may use words that are outside of your vocabulary and that sort of thing. And the last thing I ever want to do is to be out of connection with you, okay? The followers, people that are viewing us. You guys are the ones that are making this channel happen. Yeah, I'm over here, sharing my information with you and whatnot. That's great. But if it isn't for you, this would never happen. So I decided we are going to bring back segments just to give you a fresh outlook. One of the segments that I'm feeling about, bringing back or bringing on, better yet, is going to be the new breeder perspective. And when I say new breeder, I don't mean like you just started wanting to breed today. I'm talking about if you got maybe 2 years under your belt, 3 years at most, you're still kind of new. And so, recently I was invited on a live on Instagram by a gentleman who on Instagram, his account is Black Star. Nonetheless, I really like this cat because of what he does, not just what he says. he is interviewing you, me, and the next guy, and he's taking notes. You can tell he's soaking things in. He's trying to be a better version of himself as a breeder, and that's what this platform is about. So without further ado, let me bring my guy, Jeff, on. What's up, Jeff? On?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, number love, man. Appreciate you coming on with us, man. Hey, do me a favor. Can you turn your phone sideways?
Can I turn my phone? I should be able to. 1 second.
I'll come right back to you. Yeah, let's just give him a second. Okay, perfect. Perfect. There you go. There you go. All right, good stuff, Jeff. On. Yeah, if you could raise it up a little bit. I know I'm asking for too much, man. I see I was supposed to be back here a half hour early with Jeff on. I know he was here, but I just couldn't get on. All right. So I apologize to everyone that we're having to do this on the live. Jeff on, hey, man, talk to me about you, man. You interviewed me 2 nights ago, right?
Yes.
Now everything has changed, right? Yes. Now I'm the one interviewing you. Hold on. Let me put my hat on while we're doing this. There we go. So, Jeff Hong, talk to me, man. Where are you located? How long have you been breeding? What inspired you to be a breeder? What are you seeing out there? And I know you got a bunch of questions. You told me you were going to come over here with about 15 questions you're going to hit me with. Yes, so we're going to get into that here in a minute, but we want to know who you are. Who's Jeff Hong? Talk to us.
Hey, guys, ladies and gents that's watching who's going to see this. My name is Jeff Hong. I'm a breeder / dog guy from Brooklyn, New York. I'm 29 years old. I'm also a father. And I'm just here to grab as much information as I can and share it with the people. Getting it to a level where you can really understand it, because you'll have guys, different people spreading information, but you're not quite getting it. So that's where my role comes in. Well, I'll get it broken down to you, and we'll see, if these different dog breeds or the bully breed is a fit companion for you.
There you go, man. How long have you been breeding? How long you been doing this?
So being a dog man, I'll probably say an animal person all my life, but actually breeding by the standards in a bully, 2 years.
You said 2 years?
Yes.
Okay, and where are you located at in the U.S.?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York? Oh, watch out, man. Say what's up to my guy, Danny, if you see him over there. Danny Cervantes, Mr. Second to None. Number love, man.
Oh, yes. I actually had a conversation with him not too long ago.
Oh, I'm sure, man. He does a lot of shows over there. He's really big. Last show I actually went to the East Coast was one of his shows, man. What a class act. What a class act. So what got you interested in bullies, man? Like, what made it happen for you?
If I could say dogs in general first, I was always seeing wolves like in cartoons as a kid. So, watching anime and stuff, you see the wolves, and I'm like, well, those dogs, when I see the dogs that are similar, like huskies, I kind of didn't like them. Then I seen bullies, seen the crop, I seen the tenacity. You feel safe around them, but you also know that they're companions too. You know what I'm saying? They just fit the whole description of what I'm looking for.
Okay, that's actually an excellent answer. Now, let me ask you this, right? Since you've been around for about 2 years, what are the biggest changes that you've seen from day one when you wanted to come in to where you're at now? It could be good, it could be bad. I don't care. Just tell me, what are the changes you've seen?
Some changes I probably noticed is the smaller dogs kind of taking over a lot of space that they probably shouldn't. Just noticing like little things from different people, the hanging of papers, peds, and you actually start to understand the XL a little bit more the deeper you dig.
So you're already noticing the whole paper hanging thing and whatnot. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that you've come across it, but nonetheless, it doesn't surprise me. But that being kind of the first thing that you're seeing the change on is kind of sad. Actually, it's kind of sad. Now, for those of y'all watching us, the segment that we are going to start with Jeff on today is just an introduction. He's hitting the 4 running starting on Monday. I want you guys to help me out. Name Jaffon's segment. I don't care what you all want to name it. Now, he just told you he's from Brooklyn. He told you he likes anime. He likes wolves. His name is Jeff Vaughn, so on and so forth. Let me know in the comment section what would be a good segment for Jeff Vaughn starting on Monday. Now, Jeff Vaughn, you said, hey, Raul, man, I'm gonna come on, bro, but I'm gonna hit the floor running, bro. I ain't gonna be like, a little passive puppy that you're just gonna be able to pet. And that's exactly why you're here. So go ahead and rip it up, man. Give me your questions. And wait, before we do that, man, let's get a little music going. Let's get here you go, Jeff Vaughn. Let me know if you like this. You like that?
I actually can't hear it.
Okay, no worries about it. They can. No worries about it. Go ahead, man. Fire away.
So the first question I actually want to get on here and ask you to be a little more personal with what you have going on. What class do you feel is the best as far as the whole bully breed?
You said bully breed or American bully breed? Because bully breed, you're including American bulldogs. I mean, are you talking about just American bullies? Which class is the best?
I'm talking about the whole thing.
You're talking about the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Wow. Well, man, it would be unfortunate, more likely than not, as far as consistency is concerned, the American bully cannot be in the conversation because we're a newer breed. We're still evolving. Okay. So I guess I would probably say the American bulldog, only because they've been around for a minute. And no matter where I've seen an American bulldog, whether it's through social media, literally I had a neighbor here about a year and a half ago. He left. He had American bulldogs. For some reason, they all seem to look very much alike. I'm sure that there's nuances and differences we could talk about, but all in all, it looks like a pretty consistent breed.
Okay. So I want to start this off just getting straight into the American bully. How do you notice health issues? Like what are the eye tests that you would tell somebody that's newer to the breed?
OFA is the eye test. Not just the eye test, but also hips and elbows, heart. You gotta definitely go and get it pretty much inspected by a veterinarian. The way it works is you have to take the dog in. They're going to have to get the x-rays and whatnot, and it gets sent to a third party because they want to make sure that me as a breeder do not influence the veterinarian. Okay. Now, I'm going to take it a step further because I do genetic testing. Yeah. So I tell people all the time, man, look, it wouldn't be the worst thing if you do genetic testing. So let me give you an example. When I first started genetic testing about 6 years ago, something kept popping up, which was CRD1 and CRD4, which is retinal atrophy. However, that doesn't necessarily affect our breed. At first, we thought it did, but at this point, we realize it doesn't. Nonetheless, you want to get genetic testing because one of the things that can affect your dog's hearing and sight is going to be lack of melanin and lack of coloration. Right. And, when you breed, say, Merles, which is something I hype on a lot, if you're going to be breeding Merles, you definitely need to be doing genetic testing. If you get a puppy from somebody that didn't do any type of genetic testing, even though that puppy may not be showing Merle markings or Harlequin or piebald or anything like that at first, it may be suffering from something or may be predisposed. And that predisposition, you could see it in a genetic test. So that would be my recommendation. Good question.
Okay. How do you breed in traits and how do you breed out traits?
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent question. Well, I was going to say outcross, but you could actually do both things with an outcross. So look, when it comes to breeding, right, what we're dealing with is a closed population. So when you say XYZ breed, I don't care which one it is a closed gene pool to the rest of the dogs in the world. This is why Chihuahuas look nothing like Great Danes, because each one has their own closed population, right? Can you repeat your question again? I just lost my train of thought.
How do you breed in traits and how do you breed out traits?
Okay, excellent. So basically, within a breed, I don't care what breed it is, right? You're going to have bloodlines, and all bloodlines, and that's just breeder terminology. But truly what bloodlines are is nothing more than a closed population within a closed population. So within a breed, there is a closed population that will shoot for a particular trait. If you have working dogs, you know, that sort of thing, whether it's protection, whether it's herding, and or if you're looking for something physical, right? If you want your dogs to be the ones that got the biggest heads, right? For example, then you would have dogs within that breed and then a bloodline within that breed that would have the biggest heads. So say I am starting my kennel, or say I've been around, say, for 5 years, and I need big head or big body or whatever. I would then go after those bloodlines that I see that are producing big heads or big bodies, and then I would either, you know, I would do an outcross and bring it in, and then once I bring in that trait that I see I have it, I would then line breed it within my lines in order to promulgate that trait. The way that you're going to promulgate that trait is by something called the coefficient of inbreeding. What's going to happen is when you outcross, coefficient of inbreeding is going to half immediately. And that's half average within the litter. So you may have a puppy that's a little bit higher, another one that's a little lower, but if you add them all together, it should come out about half of what it was. However, once you brought that puppy in and he now has a big head that you so covet and so on and so forth, you have to let him grow. Then you got to breed him to one of your females. And then you either inbreed him within your lines or you line breed him. In other words, he could go into his granddaughter so that you could bring the trait in. The same can be done for getting the traits out. You just got to do everything in reverse. So say I have too big of a head and I want a smaller head, right? Well, the way we're going to do it is we're going to start outcrossing. But once I get smaller head in, I could definitely go ahead and line breed that because it's more of a dominant trait. But you could have also outcrossed several of your females to bring a small head in. And that's how you get rid of that. And I just said small head for the sake of it. We all know nobody wants that. But if it was a bad trait, that's how you get rid of it.
Okay. How do you spot a scam when purchasing a dog?
Ooh, man, you pitching down the middle of the night, man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Look, there's so many levels of scams. A lot of times people think that a scam is just, you know, I show pictures, you send me money, and I disappear. Doesn't necessarily work that way. One of the scams, for example, that I have been harping on forever because I think it's the most ethical and disgusting thing that you could do is somebody has a litter of pups and within 2 weeks they have the pups for sale. Then they convince you to buy the pup because, you know, in the banner it's got Bugatti and it's got Lamborghini and it's got all this. So you, like an idiot, you're impulsive and you go ahead and you pay a deposit. Then they force your hand at picking a pup at 2 weeks. And then they ship you the pup at 6 weeks. That is as bad of a scam as somebody taking your money and running away, not sending you anything. The reason they're doing this is because they realize that the puppy is going to be showing 100 different faults. But at 6 weeks, it's not going to show it. It's going to show it at 10 weeks. It's going to show it at 12 and 14 weeks, but it's never going to show it at 6. So that was one main scam. The other scam you got to be careful with that I discovered because I started getting consultation call after consultation call saying, hey, such and such kennel asked for a $2,000 deposit, and I paid it, which I've always told people, don't ever pay anything over $1,000. That's to protect yourself. I paid the $2,000 deposit, and now I'm ghosted. Literally the next call, they're talking about the same breeder in the same situation, and they got ghosted. Literally the following call and the following call. And I start counting people up, and I'm like, damn, was 18 of y'all that paid a deposit?
Crazy.
So this is the way they scam it. They're going to take money from 20 different people. $2,000 from 20 different people. Last time I checked, that's 40 grand. Then they sell the puppy to just one person because they know that for $2,000, a lawyer is not going to take your case. A lawyer is interested in big money cases, not no little $2,000 case. And they've been doing this for such a long time. So one of the fastest way to know you're getting scammed is puppy is lifted up in the air. Puppy stacked, but they never show you the rear. They never show you the puppy in movement, right? What I always tell people out the blue, you could do it with me. I have no issues. If you put a deposit on any one of my litters, I want you to contact me when I'm least expecting it. And I want you to tell me, Raul, I need you to go live with me and show me the pup that is there with you. I got no issues. I'm gonna grab the pup. I'm gonna show puppies to you. We're here. This is the litter. This is how you know. Use technology to your advantage, right? Slim Shady. Oh, let me see. Let me see. I don't know. Let me see a picture of the dad. They send you this picture of a dog, and there's no one else in the picture. Where's the mom? And where the puppies at? And you can tell they're kind of playing you along. Yeah, man, that's a scam. But there's many levels. In fact, their popularity can also become a scam. Mm-hmm. So you could have a big name, and you have this dog that's producing because everybody and their sister sees your dog as having a wow factor. Yeah. You're raising the price, and you're selling left to right, but the dog doesn't produce himself. The puppies look like everything else except what that dog looks like. To me, at the end of the day, there's a certain level to scam to that. But the buying public is stupid enough to dive in and still pay for it. At that point, you need to take a step back because they're getting scammed, but they're enjoying the way they're getting scammed. So, hey, no harm, no foul.
So, after talking about how to spot a scam, how should I go about purchasing a dog?
Look, first and foremost, I would not be impulsive in getting a dog. I would take my time. I would see how people move on social media first and foremost. Seeing how people move in social media gives you a glimpse, gives you an idea. And I'm not saying that you see a perfect account and you see everyone hugging with a big smile on their face all the time. We all know there are narcissists amongst us, many. And they're going to show a beautiful picture of the world versus what's really going on in the back. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is learn how to read between the lines. Learn, if I wanted to get a puppy from you and every time you show your pup, it's on slanted ground, to me, you already lost my trust because you're lying to me. If every time I see your pictures online, your dog's feet are cut off or they're in 6-inch high grass, tells me you're lying to me. I'm not saying every picture has to show the dog's feet, but every picture cannot be hiding the dog's flaws because immediately I could tell that you're lying to me. And if you're lying to me in the picture that's going to hook me to be your buyer, what's going to happen when I send you a deposit? What's going to happen when I send full payment and it's not convenient for you to send the pup, or the puppy died of parvo 3 days ago, yet you're still selling me the pup for me to send over the money. It all starts from the very beginning, man. And unfortunately, in today's day and age in social media, popularity in people's minds trumps everything else. Just because you're popular, it doesn't make you a breeder. I'm letting you know right now. There's many people out here selling pups that are super popular that know absolutely nothing about breeding. So take it with a grain of salt.
Okay. And the next question I want to ask is best dog that fits each lifestyle. So when I'm saying dogs, I'm talking about the bully breeds.
That fits my lifestyle?
No, each person's lifestyle. So like, how would you describe each class to fit somebody's lifestyle? Like, you have the micros, the pockets and stuff.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not going into micros. Right now, I'm going to stick to just pockets, classic, standard, and XLs. Right?
Okay.
I'm not going into double XLs. I'm not going into micros. Right.
Okay.
Look, man, if you live in an apartment, definitely pockets is probably the way to go. I don't know about other cities. I can tell you here in Houston, I've had some friends. At times they wanted to purchase an XL bully from me because that's what I've been producing for the majority of my 10 years of breeding. It's an immediate no-go because they view it as a pit bull. They're going to misclassify it. Not only that, the dog is big, looks scary. And so that's it. It's just not going to happen. However, when you show up with a little pocket, they're usually good with that. Standards, you can get away with apartments sometimes. Definitely classics, you still can. I say standards and classics, just to my opinion, is more for the show ring crowd and for people that just want to have a really good companion. I don't know what it is about the standard class, but the majority of the temperaments I've come across are just simply phenomenal. And I think that has something to do with the fact that they're not heavily influenced with mastiffs or anything like that. They got mostly bulldog in them. As far as XL, it's probably for people that want to do things. Now, this is a companion breed. It's not a working line breed or a protective breed, but I would dare say you could train XLs to do just about anything. They could get trained. Also, if you're somebody that likes to go, mountain climbing, not mountain climbing, what do you call it? Backpacking, hiking, that sort of thing. Yeah, the American Bully XL probably fits the bill for that. And the only reason I'm going to say the XL over the standard is because the last 5 years, the standard has become more bulky and it has also gained a lot of breed type. The XLs I'm talking about are the XLs that are now going out of style, which is the more athletic looking XL. Right now on the screen, you're seeing my boy Triple Champion 305. This dog, if you needed to go on a 2, 3, 4, 5 mile hike, even if it was warm, he could probably pull it off. A girl like Athena, his sister, definitely would pull it off. But these type of XLs are now getting pushed back, and the bulkier, more bullier type is actually coming in. And we all know that those dogs don't do well in the heat.
Definitely. Chicken and bullies.
Chicken and bullies.
Yes.
Chicken and bullies. What do you want me to say?
I mean, give the best information you can, because you
all
have
right,
a lot of
real quick, JV. Let me just stop you there. JV is saying, should we do a contract with the breeder? Absolutely. You need to have a contract before you do any type of monetary transaction. And I recommend paying through PayPal. If they don't have PayPal, they only have Cash App and Zelle, that should be an immediate red flag The reason they don't have PayPal is because PayPal is one of the few that if you don't get the puppy or something went down the wrong way, you could press a button and you freeze their entire account. The reason they don't have a PayPal account is because they've had so many complaints against their account that PayPal has said, we're not doing any more business with you. Now, Zelle, Cash App, once the money goes through, there's no guarantee. Now, let's go back to chicken and bullies. Some bullies are allergic to chicken. I found that those that are allergic to chicken through consults that I've been doing throughout the years really aren't allergic to chicken. They're more allergic to the steroids and growth hormones that are put into the chicken that a lot of times ends up underneath the layer of skin, that little layer of fat between the muscle and skin, and also ends up in the liver. And so that's what I found the most of. I feel if you were to ask me in my yard, what is your go-to? It's chicken quarters, bro. To me, it's the perfect food. It's got bone, it's got bone marrow, it's got cartilage, it's got ligaments, it's got fat, it's got protein. It's got everything you need in a little package. The only thing it doesn't have is certain macro and micronutrients and vitamins. And therefore, you would need, either supplementation or, as they used to do back in the days, they would actually just feed either beef or chicken liver. Now, me personally, I'm against beef and chicken liver for that very same reason. Steroids, I don't know if you're aware of this, actually stops the body from having inflammation. So, let me give you an example. You ever twisted your ankle, Jafon?
Yes.
Okay. What happened immediately after you twisted your ankle?
Swelling.
So swelling is necessary by the body in order to fix or repair whatever is damaged, broken, stretched, whatever. Now, a lot of times we'll go and get steroids to help against the inflammation or the swelling, but that's just for short relief. If you need it for a day or two just because the pain is unbearable, I could understand that. But there's not a doctor or a veterinarian out there that's going to tell you keep using the steroid for long term so the dog could get better, because in reality, the dog cannot get better. Swelling is part of the process in order to be able to repair. So that's the main reason why, in my yard, we feed Nuvet and NuJoint DS, and we don't feed chicken livers. We don't feed, beef livers anymore. And the reasoning for that is what I just told you. If you are feeding a dog these growth hormones and steroids over a period of time, first of all, you don't know what these growth hormones are going to do to your dog. Is it going to trigger a tumor or cancer? You don't know that. Neither do I. And now on top of that, you're giving them these steroids, and the dog never heals properly. So if the dog, has an ACL injury and you're here giving it, this type, these hormones through the chicken liver or the beef liver, next thing you know, you think the dog healed fast, and in reality, all you've done is not let the dog heal. That's essentially what it comes down to. So I have no issues with chicken or feeding raw. I do have issues with chicken livers and beef livers. By the way, those of you watching, if you look at the very top, we have our QBN code 513237. If you want to order Nuvet or NuJoint DS, you're definitely more than welcome to. We have shown here in the past improvement within 18 days. A lot of it has to do with the fact that vitamin C doesn't get degraded since it is completely cold pressed. Look at this one, 10-day use. You had this puppy right here, and I dropped it on today's video. Look how this puppy has down pasterns here, and over there by Jafon, within 10 days, the pasterns raised, right? I'm telling you guys, if you're feeding kibble or you're feeding raw, you definitely need to get with Nuvet NuJoint DS. It's going to make your dog that much better. Before I continue, let me just leave you with this. Guys, real quick, let me talk to you about Nuvet NuJoint Plus. This is a multivitamin. This is joint support. Many people out here have done before and after pictures showing you the improvement that this alone brings to the table. If you're feeding kibble, if you're feeding raw, there could be some insufficiencies that are actually causing structural issues to your dog. Wouldn't you want to correct that? This is just it. The multivitamin that'll do it for you is Nuvet and also joint support with NuJoint Plus. I recommend both bottles. We're going to go ahead and leave a link in the descriptions below. Now let's get back to it. Hey, no issues. We got McBully Kennel joining us late. No issues, man. Appreciate you for showing up. We got the Life of Miklo saying Jafon is locked in. Man, look at that. Jafon's already making fans over here. Jafon, what other question you got, man?
So I want to get into this question right here. All the different dogs that are in the American Bully breed.
All the different dogs that are in the American Bully breed?
Yes, all the different breeds.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. What were they mixed with in order to get American Bully?
Yes.
Okay, so look, man, I gotta answer this truthfully. I wasn't here from the beginning. In fact, I wasn't even here 10 years into it. Right, I've only been in here for 10 years, and the ABKC just turned 20 years old last December. So I'm going to quote the ABKC president, Dave Wilson. He said that from his hands at the time, the only thing he bred was Pitbulls to Staffordshire Terriers. Okay, that's what he bred. You got to realize, if we turn the clock back 30 years. Back then, you had kind of a broken glass type of map. And what I mean by that is you had people breeding big XL looking dogs in California, for example. You had, Dave Wilson in Virginia breeding, pits and staffies. And then in between the twos, you had areas that were picking up from one or picking up from the other. My understanding is that once the ABKC came about, right, so too was brought in the influence from California along with all the other dogs. And that's where the XL class came from. This is not me saying it. I know I'm paraphrasing. This is the conversation I had with Dave Wilson. And that's what he stated. And so soon after that, I would say within the next 5 or 6 years, there was an influence of Bulldog that was already there, but it became more prevalent within the next 5 to 6 years. He said himself that the Bulldog influence was not something of his making. However, breeders took it amongst themselves to do that, and that now the look that the American Bully has evolved to is something that he's appreciative of, and I'm appreciative of as well. So that's the best I can give you. Now, the American Bully XL, sadly, there's all sorts of mastiffs, man, depending what state you were in and what phase of the moon was there at the time that they were breeding. Unfortunately, a lot of mastiffs were brought in. Recently, we had on here Miss Aria from Samba Kennels. She breeds Brazilian bulls. I was very, very adamant at first. I didn't want the Brazilian bulls to be part of the American Bully XL. But then I started realizing it is great competition for the American Bully XL, whether it's included in the breed or separate. It now becomes competition for us because now we're not the only big dog entering the ring. The Brazilian bulls are there also. Because of their bulliness and because they were bred to another bully breed dog, which is, I believe, the John, I forget if it's the Johnson or the Scott American Bulldog. It's the thicker one of the two. I believe it's the Scott. They now, I feel, have a leg up on this overall picture of the American Bully XL. Are there American Bully XLs that have the qualities of being bully enough? Yes, absolutely. But they're very few and far in between. When you look at the entire picture of the American Bully XL world, you see a lot more mastiff influence than pure bully breed influence like some of the Brazilians have at this time. And I think going forward, that competition is going to drive both breeds to get better. And I'm excited to look forward to that.
Okay. So we have the ABKC and we have the UKC. Right now, the UKC is a little bit loose on, choose my words wisely, on how they represent the American XL Bully. But if you would say, do you feel like they're representing the breed properly?
I think they are. I think, by the way, real quick, Shade Tree, nothing but love. She just gifted QBN Kennel membership. Nothing but love for you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. There you go. We do this every Monday and every Friday at 8 p.m. CST. The person that gets this free membership from Shade Tree, welcome on board, and know that once you have that by your name, I'm going to answer your questions before we get out of here tonight. All right. So here's the thing, Jafon. I feel that you ever been in a conversation? I know the other night you and I were in a conversation when you were interviewing me, and somebody said something to the extent of, we breed to what we like or to our version or our style.
Yeah.
Remember that? And I said, well, if you do that, then what use is the standard?
Yeah.
So let me further deep dive into that. So I feel that UKC, or better yet, each registry has their own vision of what an American Bully should be. And you as a breeder could breed to whichever one of these registries fits your liking. If you don't like, over muscled up dogs and you like real athletic looking dogs, then, the UKC would be it. Look at this boy, 305. 305, I never sent him to go to what their version of nationals is. I forget what the name is, the UKC. But had we sent him, he probably would have grand champed out in the UKC. Never would have grand champed out in the ABKC, because the ABKC is looking for something totally different. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, UKC's vision, because it's not exactly in line with the ABKC, their vision for the breed is off. No, they just have a different way of seeing it. Recently, I'm aware that the UKC has a breed club now, right? That somewhat helps set the standard of the breed. Hopefully, and we had Dave Wilson here, and I asked him that very question. Hopefully, a point in time will arise where there's a powerful enough breed club that can set standards to all registries that want to want to have patronage over this particular breed.
Okay, just to get off the rail a little bit before I ask the next question, do you think that becomes a problem with when you do register dogs and then they mate and then they breed together? Because you have this style on the UKC, you do have the bigger bulls, but here's the athletic build.
Yeah, here's the thing about that. The thing is, ABKC recognizes the UKC's paperwork and vice versa. So I can see where you're coming from, but at this point, because it's transferable, it's really not that much of an issue. I think it's more of an issue in the style of dog. So let me give you an example, and let me go back to my dogs. That way nobody feels like I'm picking on them, right? So say, for example, my girl Chanel, she's off of Aftermath, right? And so is my boy Congo, right? Off of Aftermath. Now, Chanel is more of a terrier looking dog than Congo is, right? I mean, just looking at her, she's very terrier-ish. She probably, I don't know, and I'm just kind of throwing a stab out there. I think she probably could have done well in the UKC. She's a very, very functional dog, right? But if I was to breed, say, man, I should have uploaded pictures of it. Say, for example, this newer female I have, her name is Sunshine. Okay, her name is Sunshine. She's very bully. She's bully top to bottom, man. Right. So if you were to breed a dog that's this type of bully to a female like this, I'm not saying that you're not going to eventually get to where you want to get to, but you're probably 6 to 8 years away of getting there, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you breed a type of dog, say like this, with a type of dog like my girl Sunshine, imagine her being a male and being 100 pounds. That's when you start getting some dogs that are getting dad's head, shoulders, and chest, right? Looking all nice, big, and everything, but then they might have mom's legs. She lacks bone. You see what I'm saying? So as you're transitioning to getting, say, the ABKC style of bull, there's a lot of dogs that you're going to produce that are just going to be pet quality. Because there's nothing. You ever gone to the gym? You see the big old dude, man, just muscled up. There's muscles on top of muscles. And you look down at the legs, it's two little legs, right? Right. So you get a lot of that, you know, whenever you're trying to go from one to the other.
Okay. The future of the breed, what are you expecting in the next, let's say, 10 years?
Well, one thing, and we mentioned it the other night when you and I were talking, man. The one thing I'm excited about is because I've been harping on genetic testing forever and a day. And I know the day will come when genetic testing is the norm, and everybody will even forget I mentioned it. I don't care. I think it's the right thing that we need to do for this breed. We had Dave Wilson on here, and the president of the ABKC, and he mentioned about the premium pedigree. Ever since then, I saw a recent post, and Tone Roldan, congratulations to Tone Roldan, was the first breeder that has, I believe now, 2 grand champions that got premium pedigree. This is really important because in order for it to become a trend and become a thing, it has to happen at the very, very, very top. And we know Tone Roldan, I don't know how many grand champions he has, but he's got, I think, over 5, 6, or 7. You know, if I'm short, please forgive me. But nonetheless, someone of his stature and dogs of his stature that got the premium ped, I think it's important because what's going to happen is below his level, you got a bunch of people that are faking the funk, and they fake it really well, man. They fake it really well. You really look at him and you're like, man, is he a breeder? I mean, it looks like he is. He talks the talk, he walks the walk, but then you soon realize they're not. And what I mean by that is phenotypical breeding has been done for the past 2,000, 2,500 years, right? But this new tool has arrived, and it's the genetic testing tool. And it's not to do away with phenotypical breeding altogether. It's actually to add to it and give you more precision. So a lot of breeders, remember we were talking about scamming here a little while back.
Yes.
You got some breeders here that know that their dogs are walking around with genetic heart issues, genetic kidney issues, genetic liver issues, dogs that should never be bred. But because they got the wow factor and they got the popularity, remember I said in this community, popularity trumps everything? Because they got the wow factor and popularity, they're going to breed that dog and they're going to sell you the pup for $5 grand. And then when you find out the dog has heart issues and it dies before it's 3, that's on you. He already got his money and he's gone. Well, with this whole premium pedigree thing happening, I have a feeling that people like Tone Roldan are going to say, hey, these pups were going to be, I don't know, I'm just throwing a number out there, 6,000 a piece. But because they're coming from parents that have premium pedigree, I'm going to charge 7,500. And that's how it should go. You shouldn't be able to charge 7,500 because you're popular, because you got a dog that's got a wow factor when we can't even see what's under the hood. Hey, you're charging how much for the stud fee? Oh, he goes for 20 grand. Did you embark him? No, I don't believe in embarking. Bro, for sure you embark the dog. It's only $100. You just don't want to show the world what's under the hood. You see what I'm saying? And I think there's going to be more transparency in due time. It's going to take a little bit, but I think the breed is heading in the right direction.
Okay. Should any class be removed from the ABKC?
Let me say this. I also want to applaud the ABKC for allowing Merles in. And I know you got a bunch of these, man, you know what's amazing? You got a bunch of these scammers, and I see them online in groups talking like they have the stature thing. And I'm like, dude, you're nothing more than a scammer. You will never do genetic testing under any circumstance, because if you did, your business would go downhill real quick. And then they're the ones blasting the Merle community and or ABKC or Dave Wilson about letting Merles in. And I'm like, I was against Merles originally, but then I started finding out that there's a community within the American Bully community that was breeding Merles. They were genetic testing. They're on top of everything that they need to be on top of. And I'm like, these other idiots that don't breed Merles don't do any type of genetic testing. And then they'll come up on here and tell you, oh, we don't do genetic testing because we phenotypically breed. And if there's something wrong with the dog, we know. Really? You know if your dog has a urate kidney issue or if he's a urate kidney carrier? Come on, dude. There's no way in hell that you can know. But this is the lie that they use in order to make people believe that they know what they're doing so that they can keep buying dogs from them. And I feel that with this step that the ABKC is taking, in soon enough time, all these bullshitters are going to go downhill real quick.
So that's a no on removing any classes from the lineup.
Oh, man, I got off topic. No, man. No, I'm just glad that they brought in the Merles. No, I wouldn't remove any class. Not at this time.
So now this is going to be a question for not just the ABKC, but all other registries. Do you recognize the Mastiff within the American XL Bully?
I don't. I've heard of breeders that want it to be recognized, and then you look at what they got, and then you're like, okay, you got nothing but Mastiffs, so that's why you want it to be recognized. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, you're asking for my opinion, right? Not Dave Wilson or anybody else in any other registry. No, I've been wanting for the Mastiffs to get out of the American Bully XL since day one I got in. It took me 10 years to realize there's no way you could do it because the gene pool was already tainted with Mastiffs. There was not 99.98% of the XLs running around had Mastiffs somewhere in them. And as soon as you bred that to your line, rather than getting rid of it, it will promulgate and actually become stronger. So no. I would never want the Mastiffs are Mastiffs, bro. Bullies are bullies. Two different things.
Okay. How to spot bad blood or wrongly bred dog? So, like in other words, the mixes and the matches, the spicy dogs, and things of that nature.
Simple, man. I've always said, if you're going to buy a dog from a breeder, if the breeder lets you come over to their yard, they don't have to. But if they do, try to go there in feeding time and see how the puppies are eating together. That's usually the first sign. If the breeder, like myself, I'm not going to let you come to my yard for security reasons. That's fine. You bring the pup out and, have yourself like a metal cup or a metal pot or something that makes a lot of noise and drop it next to that pup when it's least expecting it and see what its reaction is. If it cowers and runs away, or if it goes and attacks it, those are two major red flags that tell you need to stay away from that. But even before you get to that point, that breeder, if he's trying to hide hot blood, he's not going to show you video of the puppies. He's not going to want to go live with you. You see, I don't allow you to come to my yard when I'm feeding my pups, but you could ask me to do a live, and we could do a live, and I'll show you the pups while they're eating. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But a lot of times, again, we go back to this whole popularity thing, and you let breeders slide. Bro, breeders are as much as human beings as you and anybody else is. And if they have a business going on and they realize there's a kink in their armor, they're going to try to hide the kink in the armor for nobody to see it. It's up to you to go check them on it. It's that simple.
Do you feel like the ABKC is the best registry out there?
I think the ABKC is the biggest and best registry for the American Bullies. I think the ABKC, however, has competition more than ever from the UKC. One of the advantages I feel that the ABKC has had over the UKC is that the UKC represents many breeds. And so it can't go tit for tat for everything that the ABKC does, since the ABKC is catering more to the American Bully. However, now that they have set up a breed club, I don't know. We got to see where things are. We got to give it another 10 years. I will say this too. I was interviewing Dave Wilson, and one thing I realized when I went to my first UKC show was how sterile of an environment it was, right? You don't have music blaring. You don't have people selling things. You don't have booths right up to the show ring. And as much as it's a circus atmosphere when you first see it, I will say that the American urban culture is what made this breed from the get. And, when I go to ABKC shows, I feel at home. It's what the it's the environment that I feel, that has the people that actually stood behind this breed. Whereas I feel the UKC, since it doesn't cater to the American Bully, is a lot more of a sterile environment. That type of deal. I'll tell you what, I've been to a couple of USBR shows. They're pretty good, at least the ones I went to. I haven't been to a BRC show. I got to be honest with you, so I really can't really speak on them.
What do you have any thoughts on the GCR?
Yeah, my boy. Did you say BRC? Did you say what?
GCR?
No, not GCR.
Okay,
no.
So yeah, they're kind of still fresh for the most part, but they're make some noise.
Let me answer this question real quick by Looney Tune. He says, Raul, can you explain the premium pedigree for those that missed the Dave Wilson episode? Yes, the premium pedigree is the ABKC will, give you the premium pedigree of your dog. First, you got to have parental DNA testing through the ABKC. This also guarantees no hanging of papers. Secondly, you must have clear elbows, clear hips, right? Through OFA. I believe he said heart as well. If he didn't say heart heart can be added. Also, another thing that can be added and can only be added through, say, an embark test or a genetic test through any company of your choosing is something like ataxia. Okay, that's very key in our breed. So it becomes premium pedigree, which had like a copper looking color. And, you know, any dog that's walking around with that is a dog that you could consider is more legitimate than the rest. Why? First of all, it's got genetic parentage testing through the ABKC, which means, Jafan, if you had a dog like that and you decided to do shady practices with me when I'm buying a dog from you, I could check you by having a DNA sample sent to the ABKC from my puppy to see if your dog is truly my dog's parent, you know, mom or dad. If you get caught with your pants down, if you lied, you know, I don't know. I haven't asked Dave Wilson what happens, but I can only imagine it's not going to be a good thing, right? So
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's why I am so up on this on the Premier Pedigree. I feel it's bringing in more transparency. The mere fact that, you know, Tone Roldan already has 2 premium pedigrees and he's one of the icons within the American Bully breed. I couldn't even be any happier, man. Seriously. I want to see nothing but the best dogs, grand champions with a premium pedigree, because that's going to create a trickle-down effect. It's going to get to a point that if you don't have a premium pedigree, your dog ain't worth nothing. And that's what we want. We want that transparency.
Nah, that's the route. That's the route. That's how you feel about things, especially the hanging.
Oh yeah. It really sucks, man. You know, I'm pretty sure you work hard for your money like everybody else does. And you pay thinking that you're going to get, you know, Simon's sperm. And in reality is Ralph, his brother. And, you know, it's just pathetic. It's pathetic. A breeder that does that to me is a breeder that pretty much admits he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And he's afraid that you're going to replicate his success. That's essentially what that tells me.
Okay. So I'm gonna get into about the last 5 questions. So should bullies do protection?
Well, again, we are a companion breed. You're saying should, not can. I think they can. I think they could be trained to a certain extent to do protection work. Should they? I don't think so, man, because that's the reason why you have different breeds for different things. You know, Rottweilers, Cane Corsos, they're known for German Shepherds. Malinois, they're known for that, right? So they've been bred to spearhead in that direction. The American Bully hasn't. It's a companion breed dog. Now, if somebody knocks on the door or if I'm out in the street and you slap me, my dog's going to defend me. Any dog will, right? That doesn't make it a protection dog. You see what I'm getting at? So no, I don't think that they should.
Okay. Who's the face of the breed? And you can separate it in classes, but who, like when you look at somebody's dog and that's it, that's the guy.
I don't want to say a dog per se.
Okay.
Because the minute you say a dog per se, then all of a sudden you're also not including the other 30 dogs that are as good representing the breed as that one dog.
Okay.
The face of the ABKC is Dave Wilson. Whether we like it or not, is Dave Wilson. He's been the face of the ABKC from day one. I think he's done remarkable these last 5 years, and I think particularly these last couple of months, bringing in the Brazilian Bull, I'm particularly happy because I feel that competition is coming for the American Bully XL class. But that's just me being selfish, seeing the world through my eyes. As far as dogs, man, I'll tell you this much. The last 5 grand champions, there's 4 of them that represent the breed phenomenally.
Okay.
In my eyes, right? And then the one that I feel doesn't still, he's way up there. He might not be, at the antenna on top of the Empire State Building, but he's still up there. So yeah, I don't think you could just name just one dog, man.
Okay. And just real quick, one thing I did learn that is a big difference between just the breeding, the dogs that you would like, and then the show quality dogs. Like there's 2 different, you know what I'm saying? Because definitely different.
There's a wow factor. There's a wow factor that's got nothing to do with breeding to conformation. The extremes, for example, the extreme class. How do you get an extreme dog? First of all, do you know how you get an extreme dog?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. At some point, you had to either inbreed, heavily line breed, or a combination thereof. That's the only way you're going to be able to get that muscled up, extreme look, right? I'm not talking about just a regular bully. I'm talking about getting an extreme.
Yeah.
The advantage you have with breeding extremes is that you're not necessarily breeding for conformation. So in reality, you're breeding for less traits. So say you want to claim you have the dog with the biggest head, the biggest chest spread, and shoulders. Those are 3 things that you're breeding for. If you were breeding for conformation, you could try and get bigger head, chest, and shoulders, but you cannot forget about the rear assembly and the top line. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that is what keeps a breeder that's breeding for conformation to being able to get to that super extreme look. You could get a super extreme look up front. I've seen it 100 times. You see the dog's got a big old head, big shoulders, big this, big that. Don't look at the rear. Either it's got a skinny rear or it's got high rears, cowhocked, kicking out as he's walking, this and that. But you got to understand why they're breeding for it. They're breeding for the wow factor. They're not breeding for conformation, right? So yeah, that those 2 are coexisting within our breed. Yes, I agree with that.
I kind of seen some extreme dogs beat out other dogs by just stacking, and then when I see the dog move, I'll be like, ugh, like that's not it. Like the walk and the because they're just breeding for that stack. It's just that, you see, that's the epitome of breeding for a particular trait. You're breeding for the stack. So you're breeding for head, shoulder, chest, all this muscularity up front. What ends up happening is when you put too much of that up front, it unbalances the dog. And you usually could tell in the rear. Why is that? Because a dog that's balanced, okay, is kind of like a 4x4 vehicle, right? All 4 wheels are turning, right? Now, a dog that has, massive rear and say not so massive front, that's more of a rear drive dog. You're going to see they're going to push off more from the back. Now, these big old dogs that are just being, made to just stack or whatever, they're nothing more than front wheel drive dogs. And, each one has its purpose. Just that, one of those front wheel drive dogs, you can't take on a 1 mile hike or 2 mile hike. It'll croak. Yeah. That's almost like driving a truck fully loaded on first gear down the highway. Yeah, you're going to get to wherever you're getting to, but you're no longer going to have other gears, or might not even have a motor. Who knows? But yeah, that's the differentiation of what people breed for within our breeds. Yes. And real quick before we move on, even the mobility of the dog, chest is too wide, it takes it away. So that's not something like if you're looking for your dog to be agile or move around a little bit, you don't bring that into your program. You'll
Yep.
definitely take everything away. Um, do different
Yeah.
states have different styles for the American Bully?
Repeat that again.
Do different states have different styles?
Yes, absolutely. It started like I said earlier. Um, if we were to reverse the clock 30 years ago and you would see the American Bully landscape, you would see the Virginia bully breeders surrounding Dave Wilson, for example, were breeding a different style dog than, say, California. California has always, and let me just say this, the movement was very strong when it started in California, right? But California has always had their own version, I feel. Like, I feel they first started out with the bigger dogs and the XLs and whatnot. And then I feel like the pockets more than anything promulgated mostly in California. Not to say that all the other states didn't, fall in line and do one thing or the other, but yeah, I feel that every state is a little bit different, and is influenced differently as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, say, for example, you, Jafan, you say you live in Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
Okay, New York City, at least in my mind, is a very congested city, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that in the apartment buildings anywhere in New York City, whether you're in Manhattan, Brooklyn, or wherever, there's not too many XLs.
No.
And it's got nothing to do with anything. It's just that it's, the living conditions just don't befit a dog that big. So you guys would probably be more, my guess would be you're more into micros, pockets, maybe even standards and classics. And that's about it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, you come out here in Texas where when you buy a house, you get 2 acres. That's the standard backyard here in Texas. And there's going to be a more probability of people owning XLs here.
Yeah, if you want to see more XLs out here, you'll probably have to look more towards like Queens or Staten Island, Long Island, where there's a lot of houses, and you'll see more of the bigger dogs out there.
There you go.
So for my last question, how does the American XL Bully beat out the Brazilian Pit Monster going into the future?
That's a good question. Well, let me say this. First of all, I wish my friend Aria from Samba Kennels nothing but the best. I feel that her bulls look good and they're exceptional. I feel that we need to go back to our basics. I feel that the XL breeding community is already starting to do that. I feel that the way that we go back to our basics is we breed to standards. In fact, I've even brought in pockets in my yard to breed to standards to then bring to XLs, right? Because I feel that the essence of our breed is mostly in the standard class and in pockets that don't have dwarfism. I feel that's where the essence of the breed is strongest at right this minute. And I feel that we got to bring that, right, into the XL and making sure that we extinct or exterminate or get rid of, evacuate, whatever word you want to use, of any traces of Mastiff within the XL line. Let me show you a dog that I'm very fond of. This dog right here. I feel he's the walking standard, okay? This boy right here, his name is Hector, right? He's Peter Stoiber's boy. This boy right here, I feel that will eventually, we're going to recreate a dog like this at the XL level, okay? He already bred to my girl Athena. This was a banner that we had made when he bred to her. And I just feel that this right here in an XL body, now this boy, he's 18 and a half inches. He's still an inch and a half from being XL. But if we can create that at the XL level, I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to be very well all right.
he was tough.
Yeah, man, that's an amazing looking bull, bro. I drove. You ain't gonna believe this, man. And you could ask Peter Stoiber if he's watching. Please, Peter, go ahead and chime in. I drove all the way to Virginia, 18 hours straight. I didn't even sleep, bro. I drove 18 hours straight to put hands on that dog. So that, I didn't want to hear this is what it is. This is a video. This is a picture. None of that, man. I went there personally, put my hands on that dog. And we have upcoming breedings with that dog this summer. We're headed in that direction. So when you say, how can we match up? We need to go back to our bully breed roots and create XLs that are going to have bully breed roots. Is it going to take long? Oh, yeah, it's going to take a little bit. It's not going to happen in just 1 or 2 generations. I can guarantee. I'm talking about consistently. But, it's about time that we put the dog first and we put the profits in, second where they need to be. You can't be making monetary decisions when you're breeding. That's the fastest way to wreck your program.
Okay. Well, that was my last question for today.
Oh, well, man, look, that was excellent. I think you did great. And I can't wait for you to show up on Monday and roast me some more, man. Those are profound questions. I'm sure that you were answering a lot of questions for a lot of people out there. Shaytree is saying when there's a roach back, stiff stifle, and high rear, what kind of health issues does it cause the dog? Well, what ends up happening, Shaytree, is there's more wear and tear of the joints in that area, in the rear in particular. And what ends up happening is in due time, the dog can start developing stiffness in the rear without necessarily having hip dysplasia. They could still develop stiffness in the rear or even losing muscularity in the rear. I had a dog once years ago. I had bought her and we brought her here. And within a year, she went from being a balanced dog to being a front wheel drive dog. And her rear actually shriveled. She had a slight high rear. She didn't have the best rear angulation. And when her rear shriveled, meaning her muscles, wasted away a little bit, so too did her soft tissues. And next thing you know, it was almost a month on and a month off. She would start having rear injuries where she would come up with a limp just because she ran from here to, ran 1 of the 2 acres I got. She ran back and then that was it. She would come up with a hit with a limp. And so, throughout time, that limp can, is going to cause, scar tissue to build. And then once scar tissue starts to build, then the dog starts losing flexibility, starts losing all sorts of things. So, yeah, any one of those things could cause that, including roach back. Even though roach back, people really like it because it gives the dog spring when they run. I feel that for dogs that are muscled up like our breed is, it might not be the best. Might be the best for staffies and pits, but I don't think it's the best for our breed. Adam Field says, I'm looking for tall standards to short XLs that are consistent. That's it, man. That's what I'm looking for as well, man. Somebody's cracking up at Miklo. Shaytree saying number love. Life of Miklo. Always good having fun with the Bully fam. Got to link up sometime. You got it, man. I might just I've been thinking about doing a prize, right? I'm just letting you guys know right now, I do not lottery off puppies. We don't give puppies away for free. That's the fastest way to sentence them to end up in a shelter. However, I have in the past done reunions here at QBNK where we brought people in. We've had a hot sauce challenge, that sort of thing. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to leave it in the comments. Give me ideas, man. Do you guys want us to go golfing? Last year we wanted to go fishing and we had to end up postponing it because everybody drove in and they were going to be wore out because you had to go to sleep like at 3 a.m. to be down at Galveston like at 5 a.m. But whatever you guys want to come up with, if you write it and it's a good idea, and, you know, maybe I could even put it up for a vote, you know, we could definitely do it going forward, man. Absolutely. But listen, we've been on now for an hour, 20 minutes. I did start 5 minutes late. I apologize for that. Jeff Vaughn, listen, man, we're happy to have you on here, bro. And I hope your questions only become stronger and more powerful as you get used to, you know, coming on here, having your own segment. And guys, drop me a name on Jafon's segment. Give me some naming ideas that we could come up with, and we could, you know, we could have something else to look up to or look forward to on Mondays when you come on, man. One thing that I got to teach you, because my dude Kyle's not here today. Adam Fields is saying racing go-karts, man. Ideas are already starting to come in. Is the outro. So over here, man, the outro's got to be as spicy as the intro, man. Yeah, so, yeah. So I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you first, and then I'm gonna follow it up with my outro. So I'm gonna bring you up, Jafon. Hold on. Let me get the banner out the way. Let me get everything because it's gonna be in the way if I do it. All right, Jafon, give us your outro.
Hey, it's your boy Jeffo, aka Black Star Live 320. I'm here. I enjoyed myself. Thank you for having me. Thank you for sharing a bunch of gems with me and the community that's on my end who doesn't know about you and the people that do know about you. And I'm just looking towards the future. And see you guys Monday.
All right, man. Jafon, do me a favor. Do not hang up. Pretty much stay here because for a minute you're going to notice you're not going to see anything. But either way, guys, you know we do this every Monday. We do this every Friday, 8 p.CST. That's Central Standard Time. For those of y'all that don't speak the English show, hey, just having a little fun with you. Either way, guys, you already know it's been Raw from the Q, and I'll be catching you on the next one.
Here we go. Kill the whistle. Oh, yeah. We are going for a whole straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate and learn to cooperate. Yeah, hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p.CST. Don't come doing the HAT.